In Mark chapter 10, verse 45, Jesus says, "The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Why did Jesus die on the cross? He claimed it was to buy us back from the penalty that we deserve for our wrongdoing. Years ago, the great Russian novelist Fyodor Dostoevsky wrote a book called Crime and Punishment. The main character in this book, a man named Raskolnikov, commits a murder. He is almost driven insane by the guilt that he experienced from his murdering. He experiences punishment for that murder, and he feels absolved and forgiven. A while later, in the 20th century, a man named Woody Allen produced the American counterpart to Crime and Punishment, called Crimes and Misdemeanors. It's a film Woody Allen produced about a man named Judah Rosenthal, who's a doctor, and he has a wonderful family, but he also has a mistress on the side. One day the mistress threatens to expose his affair with her. She blackmails him. He turns to his brother, who's in organized crime, and asks, "What should I do?" And the brother says, "Don't worry, just let me handle this. I'll rub her out. I'll get rid of her." Judah Rosenthal is torn between justice and injustice, between doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing. He thinks about the Nazis and what they did to Jewish people. But he continues to struggle, and he begins to realize, I don't know that I really want to confess what I've done to my wife. A Jewish rabbi says, confess, ask for forgiveness, and you will be forgiven. But Judah Rosenthal doesn't want to. Instead, he says to his brother, go ahead and wipe her out. She's murdered, but Judah Rosenthal has to go back to her apartment to recover some of his personal belongings. He has to step over her body, complete with the death stare on her face. He's overcome with guilt, but he handles his guilt by rationalizing it away, by ignoring it. And the movie closes with Dr. Judah Rosenthal sitting around the table with his family, his smiling wife and children. Everything's fine. He has escaped the consequences of his murder. The movie Crimes and Misdemeanors is not about one murder, it's about two murders. The murder of Rosenthal's mistress and the murder of his conscience. Jesus Christ insisted that you better be able to tell the difference between justice and injustice. You better be able to tell the difference between Nazism and the Golden Rule, between love and hate, between revenge and forgiveness, between lying and being a person of integrity. Because it's that difference that will enable you to be a good person and to live a good life. A good life, according to Christ, is not all about more money, better looking, more vacations, faster cars, better sex. No, according to Christ, the good life is all about humbling yourself before God and getting to know God, loving God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, loving your neighbor as yourself, being a person of integrity. Jesus Christ died on a cross because I have not always loved. I have not always been a person of integrity. I've not always been kind. I at times have been self-centered, mean, hateful, and that's evil. Jesus Christ bled and died on the cross to pay the penalty for my sin. And some people say, Cliff, that makes no sense. That's primitive and inhumane that Jesus Christ would sacrifice his life on a cross to pay the penalty for our wrongdoing. Well, let me explain it. When you and I do wrong, punishment is appropriate. Why? Because there's a victim, and that victim cries out for justice. Evil must be punished. Punishment for wrongdoing is appropriate because if there is no punishment, that trivializes the wrong that you and I have done. Punishment for wrongdoing is appropriate because I, as a human being, need to understand there are consequences, serious consequences, for my decisions in this life. Life is not a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Life is an amazing gift given us by God. He gave us a free will, which means we are responsible for what we do. Now, Jesus died on the cross to take the hit that you and I deserve for not loving God and for not loving people. The simple question is, are you going to turn to Christ for forgiveness? Allow him to reconcile you to God, reconcile you to himself. Or are you going to insist upon going your own way in life, rationalizing your wrongdoing, whooping up on yourself as some type of punishment for your wrongdoing? Don't follow those two options. Instead, face reality. At times you've done good, at times you've done wrong. At times I've done good, at times I've done wrong. Face reality. Turn to Jesus Christ, who is the real, living, true God. Ask Him for forgiveness. Put your faith in Him and commit your life to Him. God bless you as you make that most important decision and receive from Jesus Christ the gift of a relationship with God today and for eternity in heaven.